Hello, and welcome to the Healthy But Human podcast. My name is Callie. I'm your podcast host, and I'm so excited to have you here today listening wherever you are in the world. Welcome. If you're new to the podcast, this podcast is all about all things relatable and realistic lifestyle tips and tricks, whether that's in the realm of health and wellness, whether that's in social life, whether that's in faith, whatever it is, I am here to chat about it. So think of this like a bestie FaceTime chit chat kind of vibe. Anyways, we always start things off with a little self check-in. So think of a self check-in like imagine you're the doctor and they're asking you about how you're feeling, all the symptoms, everything. So that's what the self check-in is to do, is to help you just reground yourself. Think about how you're doing, how you're feeling mentally, physically, all the things. So wherever you are, take a deep inhale through your nose, fill up your lungs with lots of love, lots of goodness into your beautiful body. And then on your exhale, just slightly open your mouth side out, let it go. Any stress, tension, just release it with your breath. All right. Now that we've taken a nice deep breath, keep the breath going. And I want you to ask yourself, how am I feeling today on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being I'm thriving, 1 being we're not doing too hot today. And as you answer, never judge yourself either. It's okay to have a weird off day. Now, I want you to ask yourself, have I drank water in the past 30 minutes? If you have never listened to the show, or you have, regardless, grab your water bottle. We're going to chug in 3, 2, 1. Cheers to hydration. All right, we're feeling hydrated, feeling good, feeling amazing. Now I want you to ask yourself, have I stood up in the past 60 minutes? If you have not, I want you to stand up, shake out the legs, shake out the arms, get the blood flowing, and then sit back down. Okay, now I want you to ask yourself, what is something that I'm so thankful for in my life? Maybe it's something that's happened in your life. Maybe it's just something in front of you like a plant or a tree. It could be anything. Just think about something you're thankful for. And now I want you to ask yourself, what is something I'm currently struggling with? Just thinking about that struggle. And a follow-up question to that question, how can I make my current struggle a little bit less intense? So maybe if you've been feeling depressed or sad today, you can go listen to the podcast and go on a walk outside, get the sunshine going on. Or maybe if you've been struggling with stress, think about something you can do to help minimize that stress. If you've been struggling with thinking about going back to school, think about something that you're currently thankful for in the present moment. And speaking of back to school, the whole episode today is all about back to school / productivity advice. So if you're anxious about school, I got you, my queen, okay? And final question before we get into our little updates of life, I want you to think about something that you've accomplished this past week that you're just so proud of yourself for doing. What is a win that you want to celebrate? Okay. Now that you're feeling good, now that you're feeling a little checked in with yourself, I'm going to update you on my life. I always feel so awkward like transitioning. I'm like, how do I transition this smoothly into, I'm going to talk about myself now. But anyways, you guys do seem to love the updates and I love sharing them with you. So let's get into this and get real. I feel like I'm in the weirdest mood today. I genuinely, oh my gosh, I want to keep things so real on here. Not every day is perfect. Not every day is rainbows and sunshine. I wish it was. But today is one of those days where I feel really sad and I just feel really not depressed. That's a little, I don't want to use that word. I just feel very like down in the dumps. If you ever watched, I just thought of Winnie the Pooh. If you ever watched Winnie the Pooh growing up and you saw Eeyore the donkey, I feel like Eeyore today. That's my vibe. I just like felt weird. I don't know. I cried this morning a lot. I woke up, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I feel like I woke up, my sleep schedule was disrupted because if anyone is married and has advice for me in this realm, please let me know, because something that's been a little bit of a challenge is, so John woke up at like 5 a.m. this morning and I woke up, my alarm was set at 7 a.m. and we went to bed at like 11 last night. So he's super disciplined about, if he, regardless of the time he goes to bed, he's going to wake up early, where I'm more lenient with myself. I'm like, if I go to bed at 11, I want to make sure I get enough sleep. So I'll set my alarm a little bit later, but I still wake up. I'm kind of a light sleeper when it comes to movement. And I still wake up when he gets up in the morning and like the alarm wakes me up. So I woke up at 5 a.m. and I went back to sleep, but then my little puppy Mermaid, she's not really a puppy anymore. She's like 9-10 months. I guess she's still technically a puppy. She started to eat our rug. And I woke up to the noise and I was like, oh my gosh, Mermaid, no, go back to bed. And then she went back to bed. And then I woke up like 5 minutes later and again, she was eating the rug. And I was like, bro, go back to bed. So I felt like, I don't know if this is how it feels to have a kid, but I felt like I was waking up all the time this morning to get my animal to stop being bad. But I just like feel really tired and I just feel in a weird mood. So enough of a rant. I don't want to be like down in the dumps, like negative Nancy today, but just keeping it real because I want you to know that not every day is perfect. And even if social media does a great job of making us feel like that, I'm being realistic and letting you know what's really going on. So I was going to record the podcast tomorrow because I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I should record the podcast when I'm in a better mood. But then I was like, no, this podcast is called Healthy But Human for a reason because we're all human beings and we all have days where we don't feel amazing, and I want to keep it real with you guys. So anyways, that's what's been going on today with my mood. But aside from that, this is so random, but I don't know if you guys have ever tried, I think it's Revlon, the Revlon blow dry brush thing. I think that's what it's called. I have one and I haven't used it in like months, and I stopped using it just because I didn't have a heat protectant spray and I didn't want to damage my hair because I was using it so much and I felt like my hair was getting really dry from it. Anyways, I have a heat protectant spray now, and I was feeling like in a weird mood, and I was like, you know what? I just got my hair done last week. Today was the first hair wash day for me since I got my hair done. So I was like, I really want to enjoy being super blonde. So I'm going to blow out my hair and look like I have a blowout, and I did it and I feel good. So that was a positive, and yeah, that was super awesome. And then also, you guys, I'm really excited because so I've been working on this for a while now. I genuinely just have not been putting it off, I guess, but I've just had so many projects going on at once that I haven't really been able to finalize things. But as you know, I've been working on podcast merch now for a little bit, and I'm so excited because today I finally sent in the order request for the merch, and I'm so excited, you guys. We're going to do like a little limited edition drop for the first round. And then we're going to basically do like a pre-order. So whatever sells out, you can like put your name on the list to get on the list for the next round. So anyways, that's coming up soon, you guys. I'm really excited. I basically picked the hoodies are going to be this really cute light blue and then in a light pink. And we have such cute tote bags coming. I'm so excited, you guys. So keep a lookout for that. That's going to come, I believe I'm aiming to launch it in September. So coming up in like a month. So I'll keep you posted on all that. But I'm really excited for it. And I'm so sorry it's taking me a hot second to get the merch done. I know I've been talking about it for so long and I feel bad because you guys are like, where's the merch? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm trying, but I'm really excited. It's going to be awesome and worth the wait. Anyways, other updates, you guys. I told you last week I bought a house and that was wild. Anyways, we've been renovating and it has been such a project, but in a really fun way. We're painting the entire house and we're painting the ceilings too. We're painting the walls. We're painting the cabinets, and I'm going to spill the surprise. I told you guys on socials I would tell you, but we still haven't painted them, so I can't do the reveal yet on socials until I have the cabinets painted the color, but I'll tell you on here because you guys honestly hear everything first. So the podcast hears it first. We're painting our kitchen cabinets a light blue, and I think they're going to be super cute, but I was not anticipating the cabinet painting process to be so many steps, you know, like you see these cute kitchens on Pinterest and you're like, oh my gosh, that's such a vibe, like, oh, Pinterest inspo or kitchen inspo. And then when you actually do the project yourself, you're like, whoa, this is way harder than it looks on Pinterest. But it's been really fun. And after this podcast recording sesh, I think I'm going to go over to the house and paint some more. But it's funny because John and I are literally covered in paint. So I'll shower off and I'm still covered in paint. And I'm like, interesting. But other than that, life has been good. I definitely need to get a good night's sleep tonight and get out of this little weird funk I'm in. But other than that, you guys, I'm really excited. Let's move on. Move on to the episode because this episode is you guys picked it. I gave you guys the option for what you want to listen to, or yeah, I guess you guys are listening to this, what you want to hear, and you guys picked back to school advice. So basically this episode is going to be all of the advice I wish I'd had someone tell me when I was going through school. And a little background on me, because if you're new to the podcast and you're like, who am I listening to? My name is Callie, and I am currently 23 years old. I'm turning 24 in almost a month, which is so crazy. I graduated from college 2 years ago. I went to University of Miami in Florida, and it was so fun. I was in Zeta sorority there, but I was not very involved. So if you're a Zeta, resist us. Anyways, that was so cringy. Anywho, I went to 3 different high schools in 3 years. I graduated high school a year early, and then I went to college, and now I'm living in Florida still, but I'm not in Miami anymore, and I'm working for myself. I have a Pilates studio. It's virtual. Go check it out. Sweaty Studio. It's so fun. And I also have the podcast, and I'm also a content creator. So that's a little bit of my backstory. I also worked in public relations for 6 months after college because I was wanting to be an entrepreneur, and I was an entrepreneur, but I didn't have any money. So I was like, I need to work until I can make money from being an entrepreneur. And now we are. So it's all good. But that's my background. I am going to be so transparent when I say this. I genuinely despised school from kindergarten through college. I've never been a huge school lover, but it's kind of funny because I was always a kid where I was low-key a teacher's pet. Like, I didn't want to get in trouble. I remember in first grade, they had like the red light, yellow light, green light system, and I was on green light, and then I was in this one group project, and my group was being bad, and all of us got put in yellow light, and I remember sobbing, and the teacher ended up having to move me back to green light because I wouldn't stop crying. Other backstory, my mom used to pick me up every day early from school in kindergarten because I literally would get like such bad school anxiety, and I wouldn't stop crying, so she'd always have to come get me. I definitely was not a fan of school. I think I struggled a lot with social anxiety as a kid and didn't realize it. So looking back, I'm like, wow, if I could just go and give little 7-year-old Callie some advice, I would do that. But we're going to talk more about high school and college today. And also, if you're out of school and you're working, these tips are also going to help you because a lot of it is productivity related and how to navigate overwhelm and stress. So I'm really excited for this episode. So the first thing that I want to talk about is obviously if you're listening to this when it comes out, this is coming out in August. So if you're listening, you're about to have the transition from school or from summer to school. And I think transitions in general can be really challenging because you've been having whatever type of summer you've been having. If you've been having a productive summer where you've been working an internship or a job, or if you've been just chilling this summer, just hanging out with your friends, getting the sun, all the things. I think regardless, it definitely is a big transition because all of a sudden your schedule entirely changes. And for most people, school requires them to wake up earlier than they've been waking up during the summer. So not only is your entire just schedule changing during the day, but you're also having a huge sleep schedule change as well. So I want to give you some tips on how to navigate this transition and make it as smooth as possible. So I'm a huge advocate for cycle syncing, as you know, and if you don't know what that is, go listen to the episodes on it. It's super cool, but I want to use cycle syncing as just a little parallel to transitions because cycle syncing is all about transitioning, supporting the transitions to help you have as little of negative effects as possible as your hormones change throughout different phases of your cycle. So we're going to use this as just an example. And I want you to think about and ask yourself, okay, so similar to cycle syncing, if you know what cycle syncing is, how can I support myself, my mind, and my body during this transition phase of my life? So in cycle syncing, it's usually you eat certain foods that have nutrients that help your hormones feel the least amount of negative effects, or you're changing up the intensity of your workouts or resistance based on your hormone levels in order to help you work with your body, not against it. So just some ideas that I have off the top of my head for transitioning. Let's just talk about for your mental state of mind. I think the transition can have a lot of unknowns that come with it and a lot of overwhelm. So if I could go back and give myself advice for navigating that just initial feeling of overwhelm, anxiety, and stress with going to school, I would simply tell myself a Bible verse, and not to be that girl that's like, Bible verse. But seriously, this is a verse that genuinely has helped me a lot in my life, especially with anxiety. And it is, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your request be made known to God. That's Philippians 4:6. So something that's been helpful for me is just anytime I feel overwhelmed or scared about the future, I will pray to God, and I'm like, hey God, like this is really bothering me, or this is really worrying me and making me feel this type of way. Like, I just surrender this feeling to you, Lord. I just pray that you would just give me peace and just help me follow you with trust and faith and know what is right and what is not right in my decisions. So ultimately, it's giving God the stress and the worry, giving that to him, being like, God, take it, please. Like, you already know the outcome of my life. I just surrender this to you. A lot of the time, I think the overwhelmed feelings can come from us wanting to be able to control every aspect of our life, especially if you're someone who's a very scheduled, routine person. It can feel scary to all of a sudden be like, oh my gosh, I have all these different classes at different times. How am I going to navigate my fitness routine with this? How am I going to keep working on that passion project of mine? How am I going to have time for my friends? How am I going to have time for my boyfriend? How am I going to have time to take care of myself, to get sleep? You know, like, all those thoughts are really valid, and they definitely come up with school. And I think it really just comes down to being like, take a deep breath and surrender. And prayer is one of my favorite ways to surrender. Something else that's helpful too with just surrendering is getting a journal, dumping down every single one of those worries on paper. Whenever you put something that you're afraid of or that's bothering you out into the open and you're exposing it to light, it's going to take the weight and power out of it so much. And another tip I have too is just giving yourself grace. End of the day, you're a human being. It's normal to feel emotions of worry and just nervousness about things that you don't know what's coming. I mean, think about it. Humans are literally designed to fight or to flight in times of distress. So if you're feeling like you're in major fight or flight mode, just take a couple deep breaths, reel yourself back down to the ground, and give yourself grace. And understand that you're not the only person feeling like this. I remember when I was earlier this summer, I was helping lead at Young Life Camp, and I'd never been a camp counselor before. And I was so freaking out because I also did not enjoy camp as a kid. And I thought I was the only counselor feeling like this. I'd actually bawled my eyes out the night before going to camp. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go. And I remember I get off the plane and I'm walking with two other leaders, and we bonded because all of us had cried the night before about coming to this camp. And it made me just have so much comfort and peace of mind knowing that I wasn't alone in how I felt. And I want you to know that feeling overwhelmed about school is like, most people feel that feeling. It's super normal. So if you have friends who go to your school, just talk to them about it. Be open about things. And I promise it's going to help you a lot. Also too, with the transition is, I think it's easy to get super excited about, oh my gosh, it's almost like New Year's, like new year, new me, new school year, new me. And you want to make a bunch of changes at once. And that can be really overwhelming in itself, because I don't know if you've ever heard this, but the whole concept about whenever you have a goal, instead of giving yourself a ton of life changes to hit that goal, because it's easy to make all these changes that are super drastic, and then you do it for a week and then you quit because it's just like too much, versus if you start with one small thing and you slowly add on as you accomplish and master each of the small things you've given yourself. That's when it becomes something that is an actual habit in your life. So think of this like the transition phase too. Instead of being like, okay, we're going to have this super productive 5 a.m. morning routine every day before school, and then I'm going to get home and I'm going to, every 30 minutes, I'm going to do this, and this, and this. And you all of a sudden give yourself a super rigorous schedule that's really contrasting to how your summer looked. That can be really hard to stick to and can be very overwhelming. So I challenge you to start with one thing, one little change that you want to add into your life as the school year starts. master it, and then start to add on. And those things can be like how you're scheduling your friend hangouts. Instead of trying to fit in a friend hangout every day after school, you could start with a couple times a week. Or even with your workouts, try to just start small with your workout schedule. Instead of being like, I'm going to do a 2-hour workout every day after school. Give yourself grace with it. And instead of the all or nothing mindset, have the little by little mindset. I don't know if that's a mindset. The tortoise and the hare. Think about the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise won the race as he took little small steps, remember? All right, moving on. Something else that's really helpful for me, and I wish that I had known this in school, is a question that I actually use sometimes in conflict. So obviously school can bring about lots of moments where we're either having friendship drama, we're having teacher drama, we're having homework stress, failing a test, whatever, all the things. There can be a lot that can come with school that is uncomfortable and makes us have conflict in our life. One summer goal I set for myself is to fuel my body with healthy, nourishing foods for the majority of my meals. At first, this goal felt way easier said than done since I have a pretty packed day-to-day summer schedule, whether I'm creating content, catching some waves on the surfboard, recording podcasts, filming workouts, or spending time with my friends. But you guys, it literally all changed several weeks ago when I first tried out Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Factor can help you fuel up fast with flavorful and nutritious ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track while still reaching your goals. I've recently started my lifting and Pilates split and have been trying to up my protein, which has felt a little challenging because I don't always have time to go to the grocery store to get fresh fish or meat. But with Factor, they offer protein plus meals with 30 grams of protein or more per serving. So if you're like me and you're trying to have a strong girl summer, this is perfect for you. Plus, Factor saves you the extra trip to the grocery store and the messy chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too, while still getting that flavor and nutritional quality you need. I know I really resist cleaning up my meals, so this definitely has been a game changer for me, and it's made me so excited to eat my food and not have to worry about all the messy prep work. I also love how Factor meals are never frozen and taste super fresh. My very first Factor meal was actually their spicy poblano beef bowl. I heated it up for 2 minutes and ate it outside while soaking in the sun, and it actually tasted like food that I would get at a fancy restaurant. I gave John, my husband, a little sample, and he was also super impressed. Factor has these delicious pre-made smoothies as well. I sipped on the mango smoothie yesterday while I was working, and it gave me the perfect little afternoon boost of energy, and it helped me hit my health goals as well. This July, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered straight to your door. Ready in just 2 minutes. There's no prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/Jardine50 and use code Jardine50 to get 50% off. That's code Jardine50 at factormeals.com/Jardine50 to get 50% off. And just so you guys know, you spell Jardine Jardine. That's Jardine50. Definitely go try it if you've been looking to improve your health game. I'm serious, Factor has really, really been changing the game for me. For most of my life, I grew up as a Christian, especially when I was around 8 years old through middle school. I was so close to God. I'd go to church on the weekends. I would spend time with the Lord every night in prayer. I was so close to him. But then I went away to college in Miami, and I had a period of time where I fell away from my faith and I got super sucked into the party culture lifestyle. Even though I never stopped believing in God, I did find myself exploring exactly what I believed in the spiritual realm. But then I found myself hitting an all-time low with my mental health after graduating college. I went through a breakup and I started a job that I just wasn't obsessed with. I've shared a lot about my relationship with the Lord on the podcast, and a question I frequently get is, how do I hear from God and truly grow close to him? When I was first getting back into my faith, I started with doing a quick daily devotional followed by praying to God like I was spilling the tea to my closest friend. I also started by reading the Gospels in the Bible, and if you don't know, the Gospels are the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, where they tell the story of Jesus. One Bible I recommend that is now on pre-order and will be available available in August 2023 is the CSB Life Counsel Bible. The Life Counsel Bible is designed to equip you with biblical truth and counsel on a wide range of topics and tough life issues related to relationships, marriage, parenting, and more through accurate, readable, and shareable scripture. This Bible is packed with useful tools and resources for life application and discipleship grounded in the truth of the gospel of grace. If you're ready to take the next step in growing closer to God, use code HEALTHY23 at checkout on lifeway.com for 40% off your regularly priced CSB Bibles. That's HEALTHY23 at checkout on lifeway.com. Make sure to pre-order your Life Counsel Bible today. With the heat waves we're experiencing this summer, especially here in South Florida, it can be hard to stay fresh while you're out and about. That's why I've incorporated the Honey Pots, foaming wash, and wipes into my daily routine. One of the best feelings is at the end of the day after I've gotten back from my ocean sunset swim and I hop into the shower and I use the Honey Pot's foaming vulva wash because it's gentle and effective and it's just exactly what my most sensitive parts need, and it just feels so good to be clean afterwards. You already know I basically live in a bikini or biker shorts and I spend most of my time being a mermaid in the ocean or getting my workout session. So to stay fresh, I actually started carrying around the sensitive Honey Pot wipes in my bag at all times for a quick refresh, and it is truly such a game changer. Both the foaming wash and wipes are plant-derived, backed by science, dermatologist-approved, gynecologist-approved, and hypoallergenic. I've seriously been using the Honey Pot for years now, and their products are seriously lifesavers for my girlies out there who love to stay fresh, but also love a good sweat stash. Get 25% off your first order from thehoneypot.co/summer. That's thehoneypot.co/summer to get 25% off your first order and join the Hive today. And a question that I love is asking myself, will I care about this in 5 years? So let's say you fail a test. Ask yourself, will I care about this in 5 years? Genuinely, I do not remember any tests from high school. I mean, maybe a couple that were like traumatic tests, but most of them I really don't remember. And the times that I failed something, I look back and I'm like, that's actually kind of funny because like it didn't affect me at all. And I thought it was the end of the world at the time. So that's a question that I want you to keep in your back pocket during the school year. It's similar to just saying to yourself, so what? So what those girls were mean to me at lunch? So what I sat in the library? I used to sit in the library at lunch, you guys. My sophomore year, I had like no friends, and I would sit in the library with my one singular friend, and it was honestly kind of sad, but it was fine. And so just know that if that's you, I was there too, okay? And I'm fine. I made it out. We're good. So just know that if you are struggling socially in school, just say, so what? Because the people you're around in high school or college, you're like, I think it's cool to look at life like this. The friends we have now, we're not always going to have the exact same friends as we get older. And we're always going to meet new people every single year of our life. So we're going to have new friends coming into our lives, which is super cool. So instead of having a scarcity mindset in the friend department, please know that you are worthy of friends. You are worthy of having a close inner circle. And just because that group of people, maybe they aren't the nicest to you or they're excluding you, that does not mean that you're never going to have friends, okay? And I'm saying that to me of my college self and high school self, because I was like, well, I don't have any friends. What's wrong with me? But I have so many amazing friends now. So don't get too discouraged in the friendship department. And moving on to our next point about FOMO and fitting in. Oh my gosh, especially in college, FOMO, it can be so real, especially freshman year. I remember when I lived in the dorms freshman year, like every night there'd be parties and all the girls on my floor, we'd all be getting ready in the bathroom or in our rooms, and then we'd all be wearing like the exact same outfit. We'd all walk downstairs across the field to the frat houses and go to the parties, and like it was all freshman girls and everyone was wearing the same thing. And I got to the point where I realized that the parties were always like that. They were always the exact same parties. And At first, I literally, you guys, went out 2 weeks straight. My eyes turned bloodshot red and I was like, I'm not going to miss anything. Like I have to go to everything. And it turned into negatively affecting my overall health because my eyes turned bloodshot red. And something that I learned is that, like, the saying, there's always going to be another party, it is actually very true. And like, that doesn't mean to never go out, to never be social. Like, if you're a social butterfly and that makes you happy, like, do it. But don't do it at the expense of your own health and well-being, because fear of missing out, you got to do what's best for you. You got to make the decision that's going to help the future you feel the best. And maybe that is being social and going out to that frat party. Or maybe it is staying at home and having a little soft girl era self-care night. You just got to take care of yourself, and you got to know yourself, and you got to hold true to your boundaries and do what's best for you, because there's always going to be that person telling you, come on, like, you got to go with me, come out with me, do this with me. But if you're feeling socially so expended and you just know that if you go out, you're going to get sick, you got to protect yourself. And even in this sense of fitting in, you guys, I have to share a little story with you. So I lived in Canada when I was 2 years old until I was 10. And then I moved from Canada to Houston, Texas. So something I noticed living in Canada is that Canadians, the general culture there was way less brand name superficial, with just different brand name items, if that makes sense. And when I got to the States, I remember going to school. I was in 5th grade, and everyone had these bags called the John Hart bags and Vera Bradley bags and the Toms, all those things. I remember I was like, what are these things? And why are these things trendy? They're so ugly. No offense if you like them. But eventually, as the year went on, I started to be like, oh my gosh, I need a John Hart bag. Oh my gosh, I need Vera Bradley. I need Sperry's and Toms, because I have to fit in with everybody. And I started to slowly mold into what the popular girls were doing, because I wanted them to think I was cool. And I slowly lost who I was. And my own style got confused. And this is something that I have still struggled with, and I'm getting better at, is not letting what's trendy influence my own personal style and ways of thinking. So groupthink is really real. And next time there's a trend of a fashion trend, I want you to genuinely ask yourself, if this was not trendy right now, would I buy this? I have so many times found myself be like, no, I wouldn't buy this if it wasn't trendy. I just want it because it's cool and everyone thinks it's cool. And so I challenge you this school year to focus more on your own individual style, your own individual personality, and let your true self shine through. What everyone says is cool is going to be cool for a year, and then it's not going to be cool anymore. You have to stay true to yourself. Because the people that you're surrounding yourself with in high school or in college, those people most of them are probably not going to be your people 8 years from now. You may still have a couple of friends from high school and college, but the odds are that you're going to have a very different circle as you get older. So it's important to stay true to yourself, because if you get molded into somebody that you are surrounded by in high school or in college who is not the best influence on you, like, they say that the people you surround yourself with are the people that you become the most like. So be really careful with who you're surrounding yourself with this year, and do your best to not let the label of popularity and cool and whatever change the real version of who you know you are. And even with like sorority stuff, I remember I was obsessed with the top house. Oh my gosh, I wanted to be in the top house so bad. And it's such a blessing in disguise, because they dropped me like the second from last day or third from last day, and I was like so devastated. But they ended up getting kicked off campus 2 weeks later for hazing. And so in that instance there, I was so obsessed with being in the number one coolest popular group. And if I hadn't stayed true to who I really was and joined the sorority that I ended up joining, who those people were actually like genuine awesome people who I'm still friends with some of them, who knows what who I'd be. So not to make you afraid, but it is important to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who are inspiring you, no matter how old you are. I wish I could tell myself that so bad. I made some horrible mistakes trying to fit in, and it just isn't worth it. It's not worth it. Especially not worth what that guy thinks about you. Like, don't let a guy's opinion influence what you do. Also, like, I made that mistake so many times and it just was never worth it, ever. Okay, some more tangible tips for you. Let's talk about note taking. This is more of an actual like school tip. I feel like I did a lot of social tips, but some note taking tips that I have for you. Number one, this is going to sound so general, but do not disturb. If you're taking notes on your phone or computer, like seriously, do yourself a huge favor and just put your stuff on do not disturb. It's going to help you stay so much more focused. And if you're just seeing notifications flash all the time on your screen, you're going to just feel your brain getting pulled in so many different directions and you're going to end up feeling really distracted. Also, some other note-taking tips I have is I am definitely one for taking like very organized notes, but what I would do in class is I would basically like dump down everything and try to write things down as the professor was saying them, and then I'd go back and organize them after. So that's really helpful. You can also, I don't know if this is allowed, but you can also compile notes to your friends. So you can take notes and then basically compare notes to your friends and like make a big document for all of you guys to study off of. I think that's really helpful too. And lastly, if the professor tells you or teacher tells you, hey, I'm going to send you this PowerPoint, don't write down all the PowerPoint stuff. Okay. Actually, I take that back. If you know yourself, like for me, for example, they'd be like, oh yeah, we're going to send this PowerPoint after class. I would literally never look at it. So maybe take the notes on the PowerPoint. But if you know that you're going to look at the PowerPoint when you're studying for the test, take notes from what they're saying instead of trying to write down verbatim everything they're saying on the PowerPoint, because that'll save you a lot of time and a lot of stress. And also highlighting things is so helpful too. To this day, I'll still do it. If I'm taking notes on a podcast I'm listening to or a webinar I'm listening to or whatever, I will highlight so many things, and color coding with highlight is so helpful. I think color psychology is really real for helping remember things, and so that's really helpful. Also, you guys, this is a hack that I'm going to sound like low-key old saying this because I don't even know if this is still around, but Quizlet was actually my lifesaver. Oh my gosh, Quizlet helped me with everything. So do yourself a favor and use Quizlet. That's not sponsored. That's genuinely like what got me through college was Quizlet. I'm curious like how many Quizlet sets I have. That's I have to look at that, you guys. And then another thing for paying attention in class, like I said, is genuinely just minimizing distractions. Like, I understand that class can be boring sometimes, and it's like, why am I sitting through this for so long when the teacher is just rambling about the same thing over and over again? But truly, like, I wish more than anything that I'd gone into college with more of a craving to learn, because I was so obsessed with grades that I would do anything just to get a good grade. And as a result, I don't really remember anything from college. Really pretty much nothing. But I think what helped me a lot was during the pandemic when everything was online for me, I'd go on a walk and listen to my classes in my AirPods. And I actually was listening, and it felt like I was listening to a podcast, and I would learn, and I was like, wow, this is so much more interesting. So having the just wanting to learn and expand your knowledge, that I think that's been really helpful for me now after college, is like the saying of never stop learning. It's so true. And I think that's the biggest thing for just helping you pay attention, is to just be so interested in how your professor thinks. Be like, why do they think like that? Okay, like, and challenging what they're thinking, like asking yourself, okay, let's like look this up. Is this real? Is this true? Is this accurate? And just always be researching. I think that's the best way to learn, is to research and do it yourself. So that leads me into what is my purpose though, because I will say this, whenever you're in a class and it's not something you're interested in, it can be really hard to pay attention. I will say that for a fact. And when I was working in my corporate job after college, it was in public relations. It was in consumer tech public relations, and while some of my clients were super cool, overall, the actual position that I was doing was not really what I wanted to do with my life. And so I found myself struggling a lot with focusing. And I had really never had a hard time focusing like that my entire life. And you guys, I genuinely thought that I had ADHD, or not ADHD. I thought I had ADD. And maybe I do. I don't know. But I thought I did. And it was interesting because I'd feel like I was having a really hard time paying attention at my job, but then I'd have a really easy time creating content and working on my own business. So I found myself, I was taking Adderall to help myself focus more in my job. And eventually got to the point where I take Adderall and I get so focused on my own business and ideas in my mind that I still could not focus on my job. And that was like the biggest red flag for me, you guys. When I was like, I'm literally taking Adderall and I am unable to focus, still taking Adderall. Also, I genuinely am not trying to promote Adderall. I don't take it anymore. And it definitely had some negative effects for me. So I would not recommend it if you don't have to take it. But that was when I was like, I don't think this is what I was designed to do, is work in public relations. And that's a question that's really good to ask yourself, is what am I excited about in my life? What types of things really light me up, and what types of things do I want to do, and do I feel motivated to do? Because at the end of the day, I truly believe that God designed every single one of us for a specific purpose, and he's going to give us the tools that we need and wire our brain in the way that we need to be wired in order to accomplish that purpose. So for me, my brain is very creative. I'm maybe not always the most detailed person, but the skill set that I have and the way that my brain is wired is really awesome for what I do, which is creating content, building community, talking on a podcast, teaching workout classes. Like, those things just flow naturally for me. And so I think that's really interesting to look at and be like, is my brain wired for this? That's a really cool way to look at when you're deciding on your major or what you want to do with your life, is asking yourself, am I truly wired for what I'm doing? Because I know that God created you for a very specific purpose, and I don't think he wants you to feel super unfocused all the time. I just don't think so. I know he designed you in the way you're designed, and there's nothing wrong with you. And I also, it's a whole other topic, but I definitely think the school system is built in a way that is trying to force everyone into a certain mold. So for I know, like, a lot of creatives, school can be challenging, and because they're just wired differently. So I think it's also giving yourself grace if you aren't the best student ever, if you don't get the best grades all the time, if you're struggling with test taking. Like, I've been there, and I think it's important to realize, like, we're not all built to be the exact same person. So give yourself grace, know that you're here for a reason, and if you're struggling with school, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're a failure at all, and you're super smart no matter what kind of grades you're getting, okay? All right, now let's chat about something very important. Stress, workload, overwhelm. You guys, this is so common, and I feel like so many of us have struggled with this. I mean, even after school, like, this is something I struggle with on a day-to-day basis. So I have some tips that I use on a daily basis to help navigate feeling overwhelmed with how much work I have to do. And first thing is dumping it all down. I've talked about this before in, like, some of my productivity episodes, but doing a brain dump is helps so much. Basically, what you're going to do is grab Google Docs or grab a piece of paper, write down literally everything that you have to do. Just dump it down in no particular order. Now, I want you to start to look at what's on the paper and circle the things that are high priority. So things that are due today, tomorrow, high priority stuff, okay? So for example, for me, it'd be like podcasts. This is high priority because I'm posting this at midnight on Wednesday. So that's high priority. Versus filming a workout video that's going to launch in 3 weeks. That's not as high priority for me in the current moment of time. So anyways, once you've circled your high priority things, I want you to circle like 4 or 5 things. From that chunk of things, I want you to pick 1 to 2 things, and I want you to start to work on those things for the next 30 minutes. Give yourself a 30-minute timer. Work on only those 2 things, nothing else. Don't let yourself get distracted. It's easy to try to jump between different tasks. Just stay on the same 2 things, or 1 thing if 2 is still too much. once 30-minute timer is up, give yourself a 5-minute break, time it, stand up, walk around, get the blood flowing, maybe go do your laundry, go outside, get some sun, and then come back. If you still haven't finished those 2 things, finish them up for the next 30 minutes, and then slowly chip away at the high priority things by using that system. Ow, I just hit my hand on my desk very hard. Anyways, that is a system that I've used through college, I use currently, and it is one of my favorite systems if I'm struggling with overwhelm or struggling to focus. It is so good, you guys, and I definitely recommend it. Something else too that's really helpful is just keeping track of everything in your calendar. Like, this is more event focused or more meeting based or call based, but anytime I have anything come up, even like a coffee date with a friend, I will put it in my calendar. Google Calendars is the best, and it definitely helps a lot with organizing my time, especially if you're someone who's a busy gal and you like to do a lot of extracurriculars, or you have a side hustle, or you work an after school job, whatever it is. Just a Google Calendar is going to help you visually see everything so well. And something else that I want to try this. I haven't ever tried this, but I think I have had friends who've done this. I know it can be hard kind of playing around with social schedules and stuff. So I used to have one of my closest friends would do this with all of her friends. They would all share their class schedules with each other, and then they were able to like figure out when they could hang out with each other. And I think that's a really cool idea. And so that's another thought, that if you are nervous about seeing your friends as much as you've been seeing them over the summer, definitely exchange schedules and plan that way. And finally, I want to just chat about balancing everything. This is the final point I'm going to talk about. And I think balance is one of those things where we're not always going to be equilibrially balanced in all areas of our life. Sometimes we're in seasons where our homework is going to take up a lot of our life because we have huge tests coming up, or we're finishing up the semester, or other times we're going to be focused so much on that guy that we're dating, or our new friendships that we've been making because we're new at school or whatever reason. And our homework will take less of a priority for us. It's important to just meet yourself where you are and realize that seasons of life call for different things, and just ease up on the pressure that you've been putting on yourself to be perfect in every area of your life, because it just isn't realistic. I still struggle with this pressure, and if I would remove that pressure for myself, I know that I would feel 10 times happier and 10 times less overwhelmed. So let's do it together. Let's remove that pressure, and let's just meet ourselves where we are, because we're healthy, we're humans, and we're doing the best we can. At the end of the day, that's all you can do with school and with life, is just try your best. And sometimes best is just showing up for class and then going and sleeping the rest of the day. Sometimes best is literally skipping class because you're not feeling well and just resting. Or sometimes your best is waking up early at 5 a.m., going to the gym before school and doing all the things, and then having a super productive day after school. Like, you just have to meet yourself where you are. And I think that's going to help you a lot this year in school. And it's going to help you feel a lot less pressure and a lot less just the stress that can come with school. So you're going to crush it this year. If you have any questions or ever want to chat, hit me up on Instagram at healthybehumanpod. And don't forget to leave a review on the podcast if you loved it. It helps a lot. And you guys, I just want to say I'm really thankful for every single one of you listening. It means a lot that you're listening every week. And I truly am so thankful to have this platform and this community, and your sweet messages that you send me over socials or in just the reviews of the podcast. They're literally so kind, and I'm just very thankful. So anyways, you guys, I will see you next week. Have the best day ever. Keep shining, keep being amazing, keep being healthy but human, and I will see you so soon. And yeah, bye my gorgeous queens.